Be sure to subscribe and click on the bell for notifications on future uploads. Hello everyone, Summon Bard here, or you can call me Sully. In continuing with Sulli-Ween and Warner Bros. 100th anniversary, I'm going over a classic horror film of theirs that stars Jack Nicholson and the late Shelley Duvall, is directed by Stanley Kubrick, and based on a Stephen King novel. And my reaction to it is all over the place. Released on November 7th, 1980, it's The Shining. Director Stanley Kubrick had made a decent but kinda meandering horror film with fine characters, a pretty heavy story, and okay cinematography. A former teacher turned writer named Jack Torrance is offered a job to be the caretaker of the Overlook Hotel for the winter, and brings along his wife Wendy and son Danny to live at the hotel, as they are the only people residing inside. Yet as the families gain a tour of the hotel, Danny has a talk with the hotel chef, Dick Halloran, explaining to him that they have the same psychic power called the Shining, where they telepathically communicate to each other, read their thoughts, and see things in the past and future. And while the Torrances, mainly Wendy and Danny, spend some time in and out of the hotel, even as a strong snowstorm occurs, Jack's having difficulty writing and slowly goes insane with nothing else to do, eventually being persuaded by the previous caretaker of the Overlook, Mr. Grady, who once went insane, murdered his family, and ended his life, to finish off his own family, as Wendy considers about leaving the hotel due to Danny's experience going through the place, as Danny witnesses the horrors of the hotel, sometimes brought up by Tony, his imaginary friend who speaks through his mouth and communicates with his finger. I didn't see a lot of films from Stanley Kubrick, as the ones I have seen are now considered classics, with Dr. Strangelove, 2001: A Space Odyssey, A Clockwork Orange, Full Metal Jacket, and this film. And while I like two of these films, The Shining is one that I didn't quite like at first given its hype, but now I'm very mixed about it. There are plenty of things I do like, and much of them are memorable. The music by Wendy Carlos and Rachel Elkind, all the shots, camera angles, and helicopter views, the moments of sudden violence, quick shots of bloody images, Jack Nicholson's performance that's crazy in a delightful and well-handled manner, and a clever transition from Jack Torrance looking at the model of the hedge maze to cut to an overhead shot of the real hedge maze. So, if these things are what I like about the film, what don't I like? Well, for one thing, it's not too scary. Yes, the blood and violence did get me good, but the rest of it didn't work as much. It has a very slow atmosphere with lots of long takes, long pauses between dialogue, and slow-moving shots. But even with a 2-hour and 25-minute runtime, I found it much slower, and it did feel longer because of all those slow and long takes. Jack Torrance's descent into madness seems to flip-flop and not gradual enough or consistent enough to get, almost like he's crazy at every other moment and not step by step. Another problem is the mystery behind the Overlook Hotel and of Room 237 that Danny was told not to go in by Halloran. Yes, it's a haunted hotel, and there are definitely clues as to what occurred, but a lot of it is highly questionable and, once again, not scary when trying to connect it all. And the only thing that makes the scene in the hallway with the twin girls effective for me is the shots of them being all bloody and chopped up, as the girls were already seen before that one hallway scene, but when they appeared later it didn't matter until we get those violent bits. That, and at times the music's a bit off-sync when sudden moments occur. I'd also like to think that Tony would have been a ghost of the Overlook, as Tony shows Danny creepy images of the hotel and even possesses him. Yet, that's kind of how I see it. And overall, the whole film is very well made in its visual scope, its music, its acting, and its violent bits, but I'm very torn on it with its very slow atmosphere, the mystery of the hotel, and it not being all scary. It definitely has its classic and memorable moments, and much of them I do and still like, giving such well-deserved suspense. but it felt more suspenseful than horrific, which isn't bad, but if it got more quick to the point, I wouldn't mind giving it more praise. Yet, as such, I'd go with the Simpsons Treehouse of Horror segment. 2.5 plus, or 2.5 mixed Halloween Bugs Bunnies. And that is it. So thank you for joining me. Like, comment, subscribe, follow me on Facebook or Twitter, support me on Patreon, and until next time for the conclusion of Sulli-Ween